You walk out onto your porch at dusk, and within seconds you feel that first sting on the back of your neck, then another on your arm. You slap, you swat, you retreat inside. Another summer evening stolen, another bottle of repellent gone, another bug zapper that did nothing. But what if I told you the Amish in Lancaster County sit on their porches every single evening from May through September, and they barely lift a hand to swat? No electricity, no sprays, no citronella candles burning your eyes. Just one simple arrangement they have used for over 120 years, and it kills mosquitoes by the millions before they ever reach the house. I spent 3 summers figuring out why. What I found was buried in a 1922 USDA bulletin and confirmed by Penn State Extension research from 2019. And the best part is, this works on the house you already own with materials you can pick up this weekend for less than $30. The first time I sat on a porch outside Intercourse, Pennsylvania with a family named Stoltzfus, I waited for the slapping to start. It never did. The sun went down, the fireflies came out, and not eins of us was bitten. I asked the old man what his secret was, and he just smiled and pointed at 3 things in his yard. 3 things I had walked past 100 times and never noticed. Here is what most folks get wrong. You have been told mosquitoes are drawn to standing water. That is true. So you dump out the bird bath, you clean the gutters, you check the kiddie pool, and you still get eaten alive. Why? Because mosquitoes do not need a pond. They need a teaspoon, a bottle cap of water, a wrinkle in a tarp, and there are dozens of those around your property right now that you cannot see. A study out of Auburn University in 2017 tracked mosquito breeding sites in residential yards across 3 southern states. The researchers found that 93% of breeding happened in containers smaller than a coffee mug, folded leaves, clogged downspout elbows, the little dish under your potted tomato, even the rim of an upturned wheelbarrow. So the first thing the Amish do is something I had never seen in any modern pest control guide. They walk the property every Saturday morning, and they tip. That is the word the old man used, tip. Every container, every bucket, every wheelbarrow, every kid's toy, every flower pot saucer, tipped over. Not emptied once, tipped permanently, so water cannot collect. It takes about 15 minutes, and it eliminates roughly 70% of your local mosquito population within 2 weeks, because the female mosquito only flies about 300 feet from where she was born. But tipping containers alone will not give you a quiet porch, because mosquitoes drift in from your neighbor's yard, from the ditch down the road, from the woods behind the property. So the Stoltzfus family does something else, something that looks almost decorative until you understand the science behind it. They keep bats, not as pets, as tenants. On the gable end of every Amish barn I have ever visited, you will find a wooden box, narrow and tall, painted dark, mounted about 15 feet off the ground, a bat house. One healthy little brown bat eats between 600 and 1,200 mosquitoes every single hour after sundown. A colony of 40 bats, which fits comfortably in a single well-built house, will kill close to 500,000 mosquitoes in one summer night. Cornell University documented this in a 2014 field study in upstate New York. The numbers are not exaggerated, they are conservative. Now, the conventional wisdom says bats are dangerous, dirty, and unwelcome near the house. That is exactly the kind of fear that someone benefited from spreading, because the chemical industry sold an awful lot of fogger when bat populations collapsed in the 1950s. And the pest control companies that followed have no interest in you discovering that a $30 wooden box on your barn does what their $200 monthly service cannot. The Amish never stopped using them. They have records of bat houses on Pennsylvania German farms going back to the 1880s. There is a building manual called The Practical Farmer, published in Philadelphia in 1887, that includes plans for what the author called a chiropteran shelter. Same design they use today. A narrow vertical box with rough interior surfaces, a small landing strip at the bottom, and a south-facing wall to absorb afternoon heat. You can build 1 inch an afternoon with a single cedar fence board, some screws, and a handsaw. Or you can buy one already built at almost any farm supply store. The trick is the mounting. It must be at least 12 feet off the ground, it must face south or southeast, and it must be away from bright lights. Get those 3 things right, and bats will find it within 1 season, usually less. Now, if you already own a house and you are thinking this only applies to people building from scratch, stay with me, because this next part is specifically for you. Most older homes, especially ones built before 1980, already have the perfect mounting surface, the gable end of the garage, the side of a tool shed, the eave of a back porch. You do not need a barn. You do not need acres. A standard residential lot in a suburban neighborhood can support a small bat colony. Your neighbors will never even know they are there because bats leave at dusk and return before dawn. They are quieter than birds. They produce a small amount of guano that falls directly below the box, which any homesteader will tell you is some of the finest fertilizer on earth. I mounted one on the back wall of my detached garage in late April. By July, I had 7 bats. By August, I had 19 bats. And for the first time in 22 years of living in that house, I sat on my back deck after sundown and did not get bitten, not once. My wife thought I was making it up until she sat out there with me one Friday evening in mid-August, realized she had not slapped her arm once in 2 hours, but the bats only work after dark. What about that brutal window between 4 inches the afternoon and full sunset when the mosquitoes are at their absolute worst and the bats are still sleeping? This is where the Amish do something that almost nobody outside their communities knows about. And this is the piece that changed everything for me. There is a plant, not citronella, not lavender, not marigolds. Those are the plants the garden center will sell you, and they barely do anything. The real one is something the Pennsylvania Dutch have grown along their porches for over 150 years. It appears in handwritten herbal records from a midwife named Catherine Byler, who lived near Lancaster in the 1860s. Her journals were preserved by the Lancaster Mennonite Historical Society, and they describe a porch planting tradition that almost died out completely. The plant is called sweet fern, Comptonia peregrina. It is not actually a fern. It is a low woody shrub native to the eastern United States, and when its leaves are crushed, even just brushed by a passing breeze, they release a compound that mosquitoes physically cannot tolerate. They turn around in the air. They will not cross a planting of it. A 2019 Penn State Extension study tested traditional Pennsylvania porch plants against modern repellents. Sweet fern outperformed DEET in a controlled outdoor setting at distances under 6 feet. 6 feet, that is the width of your porch. That is the width of your back patio. That is exactly the space you need protected. The Amish plant sweet fern in a continuous low border along the front edge of the porch and beneath the porch windows as people walk past, as breezes move through, the oils release into the air. It creates an invisible curtain. The plants are tough. They grow in poor soil. They survive winters down to -30 degrees. They spread slowly by underground runners. So one $20 plant from a native nursery will fill a 6-foot stretch in about 3 years. You will not find sweet fern at Home Depot. You will not find it at Lowe's. You have to order it from a native plant nursery or find it growing wild along sandy roadsides in the Northeast. Dig a small division, which is exactly how the Amish have been propagating it for 6 generations. So here is what changed my summer and what can change yours starting this weekend. You tip the containers, you mount the bat house on the south wall of whatever building you already own, you plant sweet fern along the porch edge. 3 things. Total cost under $50 if you build the bat house yourself. Total time investment, 1 Saturday afternoon. And here is the part that still gets me. The chemical mosquito control industry in the United States is worth over $11 billion a year. $11 billion. Built on the simple fact that most people do not know what a 60-year-old farmer in Holmes County knows for free. The bats were always there. The plant was always there. The 15-minute Saturday walk has been there for over a century. Someone just made sure you never heard about any of it because there is no profit in a solution. You only have to set up once. The Stoltzfus family does not pay a pest control bill. They do not buy citronella. They do not own a single bug zapper. They sit on their porch every summer evening with their grandchildren, and the mosquitoes drift past their property like it is not even there. Because to a mosquito, it is not. It is a dead zone, a quiet hole in the map, and it took them nothing to create. You can have the same thing, not next year, not after you build a new house. This summer, on the house you were sitting in right now, the knowledge was always yours. Somebody just made sure you spent 20 summers paying for the wrong answer before you found the right one. If you are the kind of person who believes that real knowledge has been quietly pushed aside to protect someone else's profit, you already know what to do next. Tell me in the comments below which of these 3 things you are going to set up first. The tipping walk, the bat house, or the sweet fern. I read every comment, and I want to know which one speaks to you. And if this is the kind of knowledge you have been hungry for, knowledge that was nearly lost, knowledge that the people who profit from your dependence never wanted you to find, then subscribe and join the rest of us who are recovering what was taken. Next time, I am going to show you the Amish method for keeping a basement bone dry without a sump pump, a dehumidifier, or a single watt of electricity. There is a reason their root cellars from the 1890s are still bone dry today, and you are going to want to hear it. Before you click away, sit with this for 1 more minute. There is a piece of the story I have not told you yet, and it matters. In the summer of 1897, a doctor named Ronald Ross, working in a sweltering hospital in Secunderabad, India, finally proved that the mosquito was the carrier of malaria. He dissected the stomach of an Anopheles mosquito on August 20th of that year, and he found the parasite. That single observation changed the medical world, but what Ross wrote in his journal afterward is the part nobody quotes. He said that the cure for malaria would not come from medicine, it would come from denying the mosquito a place to breed. He understood even then that you cannot outpoison a creature that lays 300 eggs at a time and completes its life cycle in 8 days. You can only outthink it. The mosquito has been on this planet for at least 79 million years. We know this because of a specimen preserved in Canadian amber found in 2007 by a paleontologist named George Poinard Jr. That mosquito drank the blood of dinosaurs. It survived the asteroid. It survived every ice age. It survived every chemical we have invented since 1939, when Paul Herman Mueller synthesized DDT and the world thought, briefly, that we had finally won. By 1972, DDT was banned in the United States, and the mosquito populations rebounded within 3 seasons. 3 seasons. That is how fast they recover from a poison that nearly wiped out the bald eagle. So when I tell you that a depression in the soil, a wooden box on a pole, a shrub with fragrant leaves can do what billions of dollars in chemicals could not, I am not exaggerating. I am telling you the same thing Ronald Ross wrote in his journal in 1897. Deny the breeding ground. Invite the predator. Confuse the senses. 3 principles. That is the entire science. And here is the part that should make you angry. The American mosquito control industry, according to a 2021 market analysis by Grandview Research, was worth $4.5 billion. By 2028, it is projected to reach nearly $7 billion. That growth does not happen if people solve the problem permanently. That growth happens because every spring, 40 million American households open their wallets and buy the same sprays. The same candles, the same plug-in devices, and the same propane traps they bought the year before. The industry is not built on solving mosquitoes. It is built on managing your frustration just enough that you keep buying. My grandfather, who farmed 40 acres in southern Pennsylvania until he passed in 2003, used to say that the land remembers what you do to it. If you pour poison on it, the poison comes back. If you give it what it needs, it gives you back what you need. He had a bat house on the south side of his barn, put up in 1961 by his own father. He had sweet fern along the lane. He had a low spot behind the smokehouse that flooded every April and dried up by June. He never said the word ecosystem in his life. He just called it common sense. And he sat on his porch every July evening, drinking cold well water, untouched,